Hi, I'm TS, and I wanted to talk about some cover albums. Albums by artists where they've gathered some of their favorite songs to sing, and there's been a few of them this year, so let's talk about it. Biggest, obviously, off the top of my head, not off the top of my head because it's right here in the script. The biggest that I wanted to talk about is Dolly Parton's album, which it's, bless her heart, her voice is so sweet, and she just makes you smile when you hear her sing. She was put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year, the year before, I can't remember, and so she decided she needed to have a rock album, and on this album, she has covered stuff like Long as I Could See the Light by CCR with John Fogerty. She covered Wrecking Ball with Miley Cyrus. Most of the songs that she's done on this album, she's done with the original artists like Magic Man with Ann Wilson. She also does Free Bird because, of course, she does. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's set with Leonard Skinner. So I don't know if they got back together or if it's just a few of the members, but it's something. She also covers Purple Rain, which that's kind of where I drew the line. It just sounds like Dolly Parton doing karaoke to Purple Rain. I listened and the music is super, super competent. They must have had fun in the studio recreating all of these tracks to make it come out sounding exactly like the original record, which that's the thing about it. It's like when you got Dolly Parton and Ann Wilson singing Magic Man. When Ann Wilson's singing, it sounds like Magic Man. And then, like I said, bless her heart, Dolly Parton comes in singing her parts. Some of this album just seems unnecessary. She does Open Arms by Journey, which actually is very, very good. Most of these are very good. The John Fogerty song, Long as I Could See the Light, is my favorite CCR song. So, also in the last year, before we lost Olivia Newton-John, apparently she did a cover of Jolene with Dolly Parton, and she's also done some other duets in the past year, most notably with Rob Halford from Judas Priest. They sang together at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, and then he ended up being on her record on a song called Bygones, and it's pretty cool. I'm not sure if that's a cover or not. It seems weird to have an original in the midst of all of these covers on this album, but speaking of Rob Halford, he also has done a few duets with Queen of Metal, Dora Pesch. Awesome. She's got to be in her 60s somewhere, and she is just still the most badass rock and roll chick ever. One is the Judas Priest song Living After Midnight, which was appropriate. And also the song Total Eclipse of the Heart, which I just think is amazing. It's like a metal version of that song with the guy doing the guy parts and the girl doing the girl parts, and it's just really, really fun. Other things, I wouldn't know if you would call it a cover album, but Roger Waters has redone the Dark Side of the Moon album. Let's just say it's polarizing. Some people think it's dumb and unnecessary, and some people think it's a new spin on that material. He's changed a lot of the solos and things, but he's added a lot of spoken word poetry that adds another dimension to the music. The music is almost exactly the same, except maybe a couple of notches mellower. So if you use Dark Side of the Moon to sleep, it's still very, very good for that. His singing voice is old and low and gruff, and it changes the feel of some of the songs that he actually sang on the original 1973 Dark Side of the Moon. I don't like that we lose a lot of the solos and a lot of the really depth that a lot of the depth that Richard Wright and David Gilmour added, but it's good. Whatever. The last one I'd like to talk about is George Lynch from Dokken and Lynch Mob. Has put out another cover album. He had one about 3 years ago, maybe, and then another one like 10 years ago. He did a whole Scorpions cover album that I found, which is just phenomenal because I love all that old Scorpions music. But he's done a mix of old and new songs, new stuff like Radioactive and Apologize from not One Direction, the other one, One Republic, Ryan Tedder song, and Stay With Me by Sam Smith, which for aging metal dude to try to cover stuff like that, it's actually pretty good. And old stuff like Carry On by Crosby, Stills and Nash, and We Feel the Earth Move, and a lot more older funk than I thought there would be. There's a Shaka Khan song, or Rufus song, and Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself by Sly Stone. And him and George and his band really pull off that funk style in a great way. I couldn't figure out who the vocals were. Sometimes it sounds like Mark Tureen from the Bullet Boys. I know that's not who would have played with him, but sometimes it sounds like Glenn Hughes. It's got a real soulful. That's why they're able to pull off a lot of those really soulful covers, because the vocals really, really, really sell it. At times, it sounds a little dated. It sounds like an old 80s rocker trying to cover old and new songs. But sometimes, like they do Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, and it is epic. It's just a huge arrangement. Half of it, you can't even tell that that's the song they're covering, and half of it, it takes that original sound to a new level. Some other one-off covers that I found recently that I've enjoyed are Prong's cover of Working Man, originally by Rush. It's pretty interesting. Poppy, more of a hyper-pop artist. There's no way to describe Poppy, you just have to look her up. But she covers Moon Age Daydream, which is a song that I cover. There also seems to be a Talking Heads cover album in the works. I could only find a few songs. The biggest names that I've found so far that are going to be on that are Paramore doing Burning Down the House, which is an excellent version. They've been moving their style sort of move more and more towards an 80s sound anyway, so that's an excellent cover for them. And Duran Duran covers Psycho Killer. Just amazing, just amazing. There's been several other covers and duets that I keep finding, so you'll find a lot of those in a playlist down below called New Releases 2024. That's all the new stuff that I've found that I've been listening to or trying to listen to. Duets and covers and new studio music by so many bands. Everybody out there, everybody you can think of that's still alive has been putting out new records lately. The Rolling Stones to the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, the new Queens of the Stone Age is amazing. Mammoth, Wolfie's band, Wolfgang Halen's band, the new Greta Van Fleet is phenomenal. All that stuff is down in that playlist. So, watch another video. So anyway, if you made it this far to the end of the video, I applaud you. I know I'm not real good at this yet, but just stick with me. We'll get through it. That's all I gotta say about that.